Hey guys, this is Brian with Bikeman Performance. Today we're going to be installing the Big Mo exhaust on a 2019 Ranger 1000 XP. So we're going to start with taking the factory muffler off and walk you guys through how to install this bad boy. Alright, so what we got to start out with is taking these two springs off. There's one here and then one directly on the other side. These springs, you won't use these anymore. We don't use these with the Big Mo system. Now with the springs being gone, you want to push on the muffler a little bit because it'll kind of fall out if you don't hold a little pressure on it. Go up here with your 14mm socket. Run those out. Now these you're going to want to save because we do actually reuse these for the new application. And that's it, your muffler's off. The donut gasket up here, you're going to want to reuse that. That also gets reused with new muffler. So the next part is we got to make some room by loosening up the sway bar here. Both of these brackets are what ends up holding the new muffler in its location. So by doing so, we got to take these two bolts completely out. There's a little plastic bushing in there. And then we'll just pull this out, get enough room, and actually slide these on in. No other things need to be taken off to get the mounts in. So there's a little bit of flex back here. I'll just pull it back as you'll see here shortly. Both these nuts are 1/2 inch and they're carriage bolt style, so just hold your hand on the back side. One piece, two piece, and then these are just a double little bushing. Again, save all this to put it back in. You might not need that part. Just making enough room, pull that back, just slide it in. Again, your right side goes right there. Notice the rubber grommets left in there. You're gonna stack your washers like this. It's gonna be for your top one. Use the bigger bolt. Push it in like that, then just come from the back side. And again on your left side, just like this. Now don't tighten any of these up just yet. I always just leave them loose. Your bottom ones are going to get this washer nut. And then what we're trying to do between these, use the white spacer, rubber, bolt in there. The same thing on the other side. Washer goes between the bracket here and the bolt. Then use this custom washer for the back. Again, what you're going to do, leave these loose right here so you can set the muffler in first, line it all up. What I like to do in this, your bracket, your two holes, you got this one and this one, just set your bottom one, kind of hang it there a little bit. Just get it threaded in a little bit. Once you got your two bottom ones started, go up there and sit it there. This is why it's important not to tighten everything up all at once. Before you get too far, make sure you get your sway bar connected back in. Don't want to forget it like I almost did there. Oh, a guy gets excited to go out and ride their machine with the new exhaust on it. Again, these are the carriage bolt style, so just put them in from the back, put in the slot there. Go ahead and run, these are 1/2 inch, go ahead and run them in. Don't run all the way tight, just get it kind of snug. What it's going to do is save you going in there with the ratchet later with a bunch of turns. I'm almost tight, not all the way, just enough for a couple turns. Again, same thing on the left. And the last one, the same thing here. I'm using a wobbly end so I can get in without taking the tire off and not have to take apart too much. Reason we left this all kind of loose, obviously these holes are rubber slotted. These are slotted down here, all on each side. Then we go to lock in our inlet here. I'm gonna make sure that that's sitting perfect. So, a lot of guys would, maybe try to tighten this all in, but we just wanna make sure this is still loose. So now we can put the inlet in. So this is your V-band here. Just go ahead and slide this over like that. You got your donut. This is gonna slide inside. Kind of working a little bit that way. This will line up a little bit and slide this over. This is kind of a hinge deal here. Go ahead and you can go like that. This is a 10 millimeter here. I'm using a 1/4 inch drive with a 7/16 socket on here. There's no need to get too crazy, just a good hand tight on it. And then it has a secondary locking nut, goes over the top of it here after you've got your first one in. Use more of a jam nut style here. Let's go ahead and tighten that up to there. Now you've got all this locked into place here. So I'm gonna use to get these things almost tight all the way is a little 1/4 inch ratchet and sneak in there real nice. Again with the 1/2 inch socket on there. And it's getting them kind of about as tight as you can. Get them tight, hand tight with the 1/4 inch drive here. There's not a lot of force behind it with the 1/4 inch. I'm just using it to get it in tight quarters here. Finish it off here with this 13 millimeter 1/2 ratchet wrench so I can get a little torque on it. Here, now we've got muffler locked in. This is bolted to here. Very last step before putting this in. We'll go back and we'll tighten up these bolts going through the chassis here. Now these are rubber mounted all the way around, so you don't want to reef them to where the nut and the bolt stop. What we're doing is, if you look inside the nuts, they have a little nylock plastic in them. You want to run them right into that point there. So what you want to use is 2 wrenches here, 13 millimeter. I'm using the ratchet wrench because there's not a lot of room down here. Installing it, like I said, you just want to run the bolt into the nylock there. What I do now for the top ones, use a ratchet wrench, 15 millimeters what they are. Using just a standard box or open end on the back side, then it's coming in here with the ratchet part of the. Again, you don't want to get these too tight. You just want to, just enough where the rubber is squeezed, but not over tight. If you get it too tight, the muffler can't move around. Now just repeat the steps on the side here. Again, I can't stress enough to not over tighten these. Again, 15 millimeter wrenches here. There, once you've gotten everything bolted in, muffler secure, last step with these two bolts used from the factory muffler. These springs just like this here. Hand start them. I'm kind of hand tight there. Tighten these up kind of in a two-step here, just like if you're torquing anything. If you tighten it up too much on one side, you're going to squeeze it one way or the other too much. So I do is pick the right or the left side and go with the right. About halfway. Go that one. And come back to here. And come back and finish your left one. Kind of hear when it stops there. That's it. Big Mo system on the Ranger 2019 1000.